call our meeting to order. It is 6 p.m. and declare that we do have a board quorum present. If you will please stand for our invocation, which will be led by Mr. Joe Reinhardt, and then our pledges of allegiance, which will be led by the Lake Jackson Intermediate students.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity for us to gather to celebrate the great work by our students, the support they get from their parents, their teachers. We're blessed to have these kids. We're blessed to have the support group in our community that makes our school district thrive and shine. We ask now that you just watch over us tonight as a board as we make decisions that allow these positives to continue at BISD, and walk with us each day, and let there be grace and peace in your life. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
I'd like to ask our board to begin making its way to the front as we transition into our awards, achievements, and recognitions time. I will now turn the presentation over to Ms. Carly.
Good evening, President. Good evening, Superintendent. Good evening, board members, our guests, our family, our friends. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Tonight we have much to celebrate. Our first recognitions will be from our Career and Technical Education. I'd like to invite Executive Director Jesse Jennings and Director Erin Ennis up, please.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Board, as well as Superintendent Massey, for allowing us to be here tonight to recognize 3 incredible career and technical education programs. First up, we have the Brazosport ISD chapter, who attended the 40th Teach Tomorrow Summit State Competition and Conference in Round Rock. We had 19 students who competed in 10 different areas: writing children's books in both English and Spanish, bulletin boards, teacher-created materials, job interviews, chapter yearbook, lesson planning and delivery, breakout session, and ethical dilemma. We're so proud of all our students who worked so hard preparing and standing in front of all the judges and presenting these projects. We're excited to announce that 10 of these students have advanced to nationals in Washington, D.C. this summer. Led by our TAFE advisor here with us tonight is Mrs. Cameron Peters, as well as James Mann, Lindsay Nichols, Kaylee Johnson, Kate Huber, and Cammie Stanislaw, who received a gold medal for breakout session. Also receiving a gold medal for chapter yearbook was James Mann, Kaylee Johnson, Kate Huber, and Cammie Stanislaw. Alina Solis and Lydia Perez received varsity national qualifiers for children's Lit Spanish K-3. James Mann and Kaylee Johnson were varsity national qualifiers in children's Lit Pre-K, and then James Mann and Lindsay Nichols were national qualifiers for their varsity bulletin board. Please join me in congratulating these amazing students.
Okay, go.
the beginning of each school year, the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo selects various CTE high school programs throughout the Gulf Coast to participate in a full-scale creation and judging of an industrial pipe and skid in coordination with the Industrial Craft Competition, ICC. The project includes various learning opportunities for CTE students, including safety, estimating, scheduling, fabrication, welding, and electrical. Many of the students that you will see here tonight will participate in VISD's new Beyond program and BCPC Career Signing Day. This year's team took home a whole host of awards, including Built to Specification Reserve Grand Champion, Project Presentation Reserve Grand Champion, Project Execution Grand Champion, Overall Safety Grand Champion, and was back-to-back this year and last year Best of Show Grand Champion. Team members with us tonight are Allie Iverson, Courtney Hominick, Trajan Mumford, Evan Cernoff, Dane Kirshner, Wyatt Pena, Adrian Hernandez, Angel Zapata, Sophia Sines, Sergio Gale, along with their amazing instructor, Mr. Michael Strode. Congratulations on a job well done.
And last but certainly not least, we have our Brazosport High School BPA students. 11 students from Brazosport High School competed at the Business Professionals of America State Leadership Conference on February 28th. The following students were recognized for their accomplishments during this conference and are here with us tonight. Isla Cavigo received first place in Small Business Management Team and third place in Fundamental Accounting and was a national qualifier. Ashley Blanco received third place in Health Research Presentation and was also a national qualifier. Deja Almin received the first place Small Business Management Team and third place in Payroll Accounting and a national qualifier. Angel Kenya, first place Small Business Management Team, first place in Presentation Individual, Statesman Torch Award winner, national qualifier. And I'd also like to note that Angel served as the 2023-2024 Associate Vice President and was reelected for a second term this upcoming year. Sydney Mendoza was also a Statesman Torch winner. She was the 2023-2024 Regional President and was elected as the 2024-2025 Texas State Reporter for BPA. They are led by their Brazosport BPA instructor, Mrs. Amanda Feedy. All students will be attending the National Leadership Conference May 10th in Chicago, Illinois. Congratulations to these students and good luck as they travel to national conferences.
Got some
Our next recognition will be presented by our Deputy Superintendent, Ms. Rita Cundiff.
Good evening, school board members and guests. I am pleased to announce our Model PLC School, Boydell Elementary. Ms. Morris, if you will please come to the front with Mr. Massey. And Ms. Austin, assistant principal, please come to the front. Boydell Elementary School, under the leadership of Principal Laura Morris, has been distinguished by Solution Tree for its consistent achievement in enhancing student performance. The implementation of the professional learning communities at work process has played a pivotal role in the school's advancement. PLCs emphasize continuous embedded learning for educators to enhance student outcomes. This approach revolves around three fundamental principles: prioritizing student learning, fostering a collaborative environment, and maintaining a student-driven focus. Principal Laura Morris expressed her gratitude, stating, "This recognition serves as affirmation of our dedication to establishing an environment where every student not only excels academically, but also thrives personally. It reinforces our belief that fostering a culture of continuous learning and growth is fundamental to our mission." Congratulations, Boydell Elementary.
I do want to share that the CTE at Brazosport High School made these pictures.
And we have a representative from Solution Tree, Mr. Gresham.
Good evening. Superintendent Massey, President Howard, and trustees, my name is Derek Grissom. I am the Executive Director for Solution Tree here in Texas. And as part of my role, I have the honor and privilege to partner with, work alongside, serve, and observe many districts and schools across the state of Texas. I'm excited to be here this evening to celebrate the incredible work of Principal Morris and her team at Boydell Elementary School and recognize them as one of our newest model professional learning communities. True professional learning communities, as you heard, focuses on those four essential questions, but they maintain, most importantly, a focus on each individual student and their individual needs and progress towards those goals. The PLC journey for Boydell began several years ago, back in 2016, but they've continued throughout the pandemic and after the pandemic and leaning into highly effective collaboration when it was a lifeline to student success. The leadership at Boydell set out to build a culture of high-quality instruction, responsive intervention, and most importantly, they talked about their desire to be a learning organization of continuous improvement. There are only about 500 model PLCs worldwide and about 120 here in Texas, and achieving this honor is a testament to the entire Brazosport ISD community. The outstanding support provided by Mr. Massey and his team. I remember distinctly a few years ago in San Antonio, he was standing in front of the room and he told everyone in that room as they were emerging from the pandemic that those teachers and leaders in that room had everything they needed to make kids successful here in Brazosport ISD, and they were going to work together to make that happen. And so here we are, Boydell joining other model PLC campuses here in Brazosport, and obviously BISD is one of our model districts in the state, one of only 5. And thank you to the Board of Trustees. Thank you for your continuous commitment to providing the resources necessary to maintain an environment of academic excellence, keeping the main thing the main thing. There's lots of pulls and pushes on you all to make decisions every single day. And of course, the entire leadership, faculty, and staff at Boydell Elementary School. The criteria for this award is rigorous. It's not enough to just do. You have to have results, which means kids are doing better, kids are growing, and it has to happen over a number of years. So really an outstanding achievement. So please join me in congratulating Principal Morris and Boydell Elementary School on being named a model PLC.
Keep them all school up.
I'll get on the edge there.
And now for our final recognition, we will have Director Jennifer Neighbors, HR.
Good evening. I'm honored to present our month of April Spotlight Educator Award. The purpose of the Educator Spotlight Award is to recognize outstanding teachers across our district. These teachers go above and beyond, not only for their students, but for their coworkers. They knock instruction out of the park. They're collaborative team members, and they support all learners. First up, from Brazosport High School, we have Mr. John Long, who is a history teacher and campus content specialist. Mr. Long's leadership at Brazosport High School has had a tremendous impact on the campus. He's revitalized the academic UIL operations on campus and has served as a teacher role model to his department. Mr. Long is an amazing person, a wonderful teammate, and has been a blessing to have at Brazosport. Mr. Long is very passionate about everything that he does for students. Thank you. And then we have, from our elementary spotlight, Miss Brenda Charles from Madge Griffith Elementary, and she is a second grade teacher there. Mrs. Charles' dedication and commitment to her students goes above and beyond. This year, she served as her grade level team leader. Her willingness to take on the role and leadership qualities demonstrated set her apart from the rest. Mrs. Charles also has served as a mentor this year and has played a major role in the success of her apprentice. She's the type of teacher who could fly under the radar as a great teacher, but deserves to shine in the spotlight because we need more teachers like her. Students thrive and are motivated in Ms. Charles's class, and her team wants her to know that she matters. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Good job, Mr.
Thanks, Mr. Long. Appreciate your dedication to my wife and my mom both for teachers. I have utmost respect.
Andrew, y'all both get in the district too.
Gotta get together.
Liz, we're trying to do something here.
We're looking at our back.
We gotta be home by midnight.
One, two, three, right here, 1, 2, 3, and then you're welcome.
Wait a minute, here comes Miss Morris.
Oh, wait, I got, yeah. She wasn't gonna go.
Here we go. Perfect. Thank you all very much, appreciate it. Good to see you. Good to see you, young man.
President Howard, Superintendent Massey, board members, this does conclude our recognition for this evening, but we will be back in May with a lot more to celebrate.
At this time, in accordance with B, the local board provided audience with individuals who signed up prior to the meeting to address the board. Tonight, we do not have any requests or comments, so we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is our consent agenda. Are there any items requested to be pulled from the consent agenda? At this time, we will also allow comments from individuals prior to the meeting concerning consent agenda. Hearing none, then we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the... That would probably be good.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Mr. Atkins and seconded by Mr. Reinhardt to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. That carries.
Sorry, listen.
Oh, no. Next item that we have are our action items. Public comment will be allowed before a vote is taken on each action item. Our first action item is the proclamation 2024 instructional materials allotment, adoption, selection, and certification of instructional materials. Mr. Cole will be presenting this evening.
Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy ESA Legal, it is my pleasure to present the following information for adoptions of instructional materials. The Texas Education Agency releases funds for textbooks and digital resources every 2 years. Allotments are based on student enrollment. Brazosport ISD has approximately $1.8 million of the allotment remaining to cover adoptions for the 24-25 school year. Allotment funds are utilized for new resources, for renewals, and for annual subscription fees. These adoption cycles are called proclamations. The proclamation for 2024 includes science courses, which are implementing new state standards next year. The new materials presented tonight will focus on the science adoption as well as annual renewals. Next month in May, materials for the remaining areas of the 2024 proclamation will be presented. These include social studies, personal financial literacy and economics, technology applications, and CTE courses in health science and education training. The adoption process begins in September and continues through next school year when we begin using the newly adopted materials. Teams of teachers and district coordinators review sample materials from the state's adopted list and provide feedback on the materials. Quotes are obtained and evaluated alongside feedback from the teachers, coordinators. In addition, we provide viewing opportunities in our district for both those inside and outside. The state also has sample materials from every publisher online for any and all to review. The next step in our process is this evening, where we are proposing the adoption at this board meeting. The adoptions for science are as follows. For science in grades kindergarten through 8th, biology, integrated physics and chemistry, physics, and environmental systems, publisher McGraw-Hill with a quote of $971,969.83. For aquatics, the publisher is Texas Parks and Wildlife, and my favorite price, free. For anatomy, the publisher is Salus with a quote of $25,248.50. For forensics, AP Chemistry, AP Physics C, the publisher is Cengage at a quote of $58,594.25. For AP Environmental Systems, AP Biology, AP Physics 1 and 2, the publisher is Bedford with quotes at $11,023.95 for AP Environmental, $16,609.11 for AP Bio, and $22,567.34 for AP Physics 1 and 2. Each of the materials adopted for science tonight is for 8-year access. The remaining items are renewals that have been previously approved in prior years. The total for renewals this year comes to $362,289.15. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees move to approve the purchase of the new instructional materials and renewals in the amount of $1,468,302.13 as presented tonight. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from the board?
Brian, one thing you mentioned that there was an 8-year window on the one that is there. Windows available in the other books were adopted material?
Most of the renewals tend to be annual renewals, whereas normally when we come up with a full adoption cycle for our materials, they are in 8-year increments, although the state does tend to add a few years on, and then we have to pay for gap years from time to time, which with digital resources, they stop working versus a hard textbook where you can just keep using, correct?
In the end, is digital, I know it saves us on an annual basis, and I remember those reductions 10 years ago when we did that, but with those kind of issues, is it created more of an expense for us down the long run?
Perhaps, but some of the publishers are now only offering digital. So, I believe in kindergarten through 8th grade, physical copy was not an option. So most of them are fully grasping the electronic nature of resources now, so it's less of an option.
Yeah, but they have more ability to prevent us from keeping a book for longer period of times, I guess, now with digital. Interesting.
So what is AP Physics 1 and there's 2, but previously there was AP or Physics, AP Physics C. What is it?
So
it says for scientists and engineers, is that a higher level?
Correct. So AP Physics C, the C is actually for calculus-based. So it's more two different versions of physics, one that focuses on the calculus behind it and the other version that's not calculus-based.
So our teachers were involved, those who chose or volunteer or voluntold or whatever to get involved in this selection. So
yes, sir. They provided plenty of feedback, and we're pleased to, there were 2 key publishers for the main area that we were looking at. One that our teachers, the one that we're presenting tonight is the one the teachers preferred, but at first it was much more costly than the second one, and we went back to the publisher and said, hey, the only thing potentially keeping us from going with you is the price, and they worked with us.
I'll go back to what Scott said a while ago about the digital being, back in the day before we had this digital, when you went to the adopt books, you'd have about 4 or 5 meetings. You go back to school with maybe 4 or 5 bags of books, and then everybody had to decide which book was there. There was no explanation, there were no resource guides or anything. It was just, you got it, that was it. And so, this is, I'm not into digital too much, but this is a real good thing for.
You read all 4 or 5 bags?
I did. I read the bags.
That's when I was there. I was making sure I got a good education.
it was used fast papers.
Yeah.
I tried to get the right education when I was there.
You know, the people say the state doesn't give us anything, but we got the aquatics from the state, wasn't it nice?
Indeed. I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that probably came under the kindness of a former Brazosport ISD student, Andy Sansom, who was the head man at Parks and Wildlife forever. So I'm sure that he had something not to do with that.
I would imagine so.
Any other questions for Mr. Cole about the recommendation? I would just like to thank Ms. Watson, our science coordinators here, and Ms. Blackstock, our director, is here, and Mr. Cole. It's an extensive year-long process to get to where we are today. So thank you guys. Thank you all very much.
They did most of the work.
Any comment from the audience before we vote? All right, hearing none, then we have a recommendation from the administration. Do I hear a motion?
I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Fortner. Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. item that we have is to consider the declaration of the land, Brazoria County Appraisal District number 534047, BCAD number 534047, adjacent to the Lighthouse Learning Center, as surplus property and authorization to solicit bids. Ms. Kelly.
Good evening. The following is in accordance with Board Policy CBB and in alignment with the discussion that we had in the closed session. In May 2001, Brazosport ISD purchased a 3.11-acre tract with a 17,000 square foot building that is currently used to serve the Lighthouse Learning Center. The Brazoria County Appraisal District account number associated with this property is 534047. There are currently approximately 20,000 square feet of the parking lot that is no longer necessary for the district operations, and we have some interest in a commercial developer. And so at this time, administration recommends that the board declare approximately 20,000 square feet of the land known as Brazoria County Appraisal District number 534047, adjacent to the Lighthouse Learning Center, as surplus property that is no longer necessary for district purposes, and as will be more fully described by the pending land survey, and recommends further that the board authorize administration to solicit bids for sale of the property in accordance with applicable laws, with the recommended offer being brought to the board for consideration, with further authority to retain consultants and take related action. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from Ms. Kelly, from the board?
So as I think we discussed, we will still have adequate room for...
Yes, I had that evaluated, and the amount of parking that is necessary for the amount of square foot of the building will still be adequate if we were to sell the building in the future. It wouldn't hinder anyone's ability to use the LLC building portion and still have adequate parking.
And the traffic flow going through there will still be adequate. I know it's kind of there's a lot of traffic that goes through there we probably don't want right now, but just the access.
So we can determine that as we take bids. We can understand more in terms of how that will be laid out on the 20,000 square feet of our property, if joined with the property adjacent between ours and Whataburger. So we can have that rendering to you before you have to accept an offer. And the board has the authority to accept any of the offers or reject any of them.
Right.
So it doesn't require that the board accept one.
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
All right. Do we have any comments from the audience before we vote? All right. It's been moved by Mr. Reinhardt that we accept the recommendation from the administration, and seconded by Ms. Patty Sayes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right, that passes. Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Next item that we have under the action items is the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee related action items. Ms. Kelly?
Yes. So our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee was established by the Board of Trustees to ensure that tax dollars are expended as approved by the voters, as well as evaluate any proposed changes and then communicate accordingly with the Board of Trustees. The Citizens Bond Oversight Committee charter membership requirements have a minimum of 15 members. After the most recent resignations, there are currently 13 members. Anna Silvis has been nominated by Mr. Atkins, the ISD board member, and Eric Aguilera, CBOC member, and also Clute City Council member. Ms. Silvis is the Main Street coordinator for the city of Freeport and a 2014 graduate of Brazosport High School. She has experience as a legislative aide in the Texas House of Representatives during the 87th legislative session. She currently serves as the president for the Brazosport LULAC Council 4655 and is the Deputy District 8 Director. She earned a Master's of Public Policy from the University of Houston Hobby School of Public Affairs. The Citizens Bond Oversight Committee has accepted this nomination and voted in favor to approve Ms. Silvis to CBOC. And so at this time, administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the new member nomination for Anna Silvis as presented and approved by the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. I'll be happy to answer.
Has she been approached?
Yes, I have Our next meeting is Wednesday, and she will be there, so if approved tonight.
Any comment from the board? Mr. Atkins, since you nominated her.
I'll make a motion that we approve the nomination of Anna Silva.
And I second.
Any comment from the audience before we vote? Hearing none then, it's been moved by Mr. Atkins and seconded by Ms. Cuellar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. That carries
Thank
as
you.
well. Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Next item that we have under our action items is the declaration of a program change and implementation of the reduction in force policy PFFB local for the campus content specialist position aligned to secondary campuses effective at the end of 2023-2024 contract year school year. Ms. Kirshner.
Thank you. Good evening. The following presentation is alignment with board policy DFFB local and the superintendent's recommendation for a program change related to the campus content specialist position. A program change may be due to, for example, a redirection of resources, efforts to improve efficiency, a change in enrollment, a lack of student response to particular course offerings, or legislative revisions to programs. Efficiencies and redirections of resources support the reduction of the campus content specialist position aligned to secondary campuses and move to a model that's similar to the model at the elementary level. Positions currently filled will be considered for available positions in accordance with board policy DFFB local. Administration is committed to assign impacted employees to classroom teacher positions and contracts aligned to their certification. The program change would not impact 23-24 assignments. This role has been reviewed with campus administrators, and while feedback indicated the role is valuable, the district will redirect available resources. Beginning with the 24-25 school year, the district will reduce the current 22 positions and fund 6 centralized district roles with no teaching responsibilities focused on that continued support. The superintendent recommends the Board of Trustees declare a program change and implementation of the reduction in force policy for the campus content specialist positions aligned to our secondary campuses at the end of the 23-24 contract. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and I'll also invite Mr. Cole as well.
Any comments from the board? Questions?
So we have 22 positions now, we're gonna go to 6. And we got 2 carried, or 3?
3 vacancies.
It's 3 now. Oh, there's 3 vacancies. So, I mean, technically, there's not a whole lot of cuts. We're still gonna keep 6 positions, right? And then, so, I calculated that one now, but anyway.
12.
Okay. So, their primary role at the secondary campus was,
support content area teachers. We went from 2 to 4. This is the second year we've had 4 on each campus, and this is the first year we have them teach half a day also to save some teaching positions. And so, this will be a district model. We had campus meetings, and principals had different levels of prioritization for these people. Some they all thought they were valuable, but some thought they were more valuable than others. And so instead of having kind of a hodgepodge setup where one campus has 1 or 2, another campus has 3, another campus has all 4, and another campus has 0. This was the idea to follow our elementary model and keep 6, work under Mr. Cole's direction and support teachers that are in most need. It is not as much support as what we currently have, but it did count as 2 teacher reductions for each of the secondary campuses, and I did like that.
So the 6 that will be remaining how are they gonna be divvied up?
They're gonna interview the ones in the positions now are the only ones that are eligible to interview, so the 6 that are gonna be hired will come out of the
Oh, yeah, but what will they cover? I mean,
there'll be 2 ELA, there'll be 2 math, 1 social studies, and 1 science.
So they will cover all the
All the secondary
secondary
camps.
schools?
Yes, sir.
That seems
it is a reduction in support than what we've had, yes, sir.
With that said, I'd like for us to monitor our progress and our success rate, and if need be able to have the opportunity to make adjustments and reinforce areas that might need help. And I know on a secondary level, even it's been a while since I was in there, there are a lot of young teachers especially come in and they don't quite grasp a lot of the things, and so these guys can be important, and hopefully what we've got here is going to allow our success to continue.
Is most of their work done like live classroom, or is it during planning time? Where's the majority of this work done?
So to be perfectly honest, it kind of depends on the needs of the campus. So in some campuses, a lot of the work is focused in on the development of materials and what we're actually going to be teaching and distributing those materials to the teachers and showing them how to work. On other campuses, it's going and seeing what's happening in instruction and then providing tweaks that are kind of that just-in-time feedback to know how can I do this better. So it really, at the direction of the campus leadership, depends more so on the exact needs of their teams.
So the three openings that we have now, how is that being covered by teachers? You said they would be teaching half the classes, so I guess others have doubled up as such.
Oh, they're well, I think two of them are still here. We'll continue up through the year, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm talking about but there's three openings, right? I know there's gonna be three leaving, right? But there's three openings.
Oh, there's three vacancies, yeah, there's three vacancies that have not been filled this year, yeah.
So so that teaching portion of their assignment is doubled up with some teachers or additional classes, or how the...
So if it was needed, they would have a long-term sub covering those classes, but most likely they've been able to consolidate those sections within other class periods with other teachers.
Any comments from the audience? All right. We have a declaration of a program change, recommendation from the administration. Do I hear a motion? Moved by Mr. Gunn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Schwartner. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. All right, that carries. Thank you, Mr. Christian.
Thank you.
Next item that we have under our agenda, our report, 2025 budget planning update and guiding principles survey results. Ms. Kelly, exciting times.
Should've let me go first. All right, so it's my pleasure to present an update on where we are in the 2025 budget development. This slide are numbers that you've previously seen, and as we've discussed and shown on the right, we've had some changes in both the current year revenue and expenditures, and the anticipated deficit is still projected at $6.3 million. The district's fund balance position is presented on the right. There are $29.9 million in reserved and restricted fund balances. The unassigned fund balance at the beginning of this school year, so as of 9/1/2023, was $53.9 million. So after the projected deficit is applied for the current year, the district will have $10.1 million in available unassigned fund balance that could be used to help balance the 2025 anticipated budget deficit. And so as we look forward, you have a copy of the detailed budget assumptions handout that was placed at your table. And so I'm going to summarize the reductions for presentation purposes. And so moving VSA to NA will save $81,000 in utilities and custodial services. There are 3 pending program changes that would generate $692,000. Reductions to central office positions total $545,000. Reductions to auxiliary support positions total $275,000. Campus staffing position reductions for enrollment-based staffing ratios total $740,000. Supplemental and overtime pay reductions total $418,000. And then campus and department discretionary allocation reductions total $40,000 and then $290,000. And so those are still a work in progress, and so next month we'll have some additional expenditures and reductions to capture as departments finish their budget planning. So these reductions do total just over $3 million, which is about $1.1 million more that we have identified to reduce since this time last month. And so these reductions are offset by additional increases to expenditures as follows. We have $2.8 million that we need to add to the budget to sustain the general pay increase that was approved from fund balance after the 2024 budget was adopted. We have expenditures for the teacher incentive allotment that the district qualified for in the current year, and so we'll need to continue to fund the $1.2 million. However, that is offset by additional revenue or additional funds from the state as they fund this program. We have $225,000 of additional special education teacher and paraprofessional positions, and then we have a $15,000 increase, which was the net result of reorganizing the current police department structure to bring on the level 3 armed safety specialist to ensure that every campus has an armed officer or specialist. So the identified reductions, as said, are just over $3 million. And then we have additional expenditures right now that total $4.2 million, making the net increase in budgeted expenditures of $1.1 million. And so, as previously mentioned, the state does increase our revenue for the teacher incentive allotments. If I back that out, the net decrease from 2024 to what we're budgeting for expenditures in 2025 is just under $43,000. This is before allocating any additional funds for a general pay increase for next year. So based on current revenue projections for next year, the district will have $2.6 million less in available revenues. This is based on loss of enrollment and formula changes, as well as the new teacher incentive allotment. Other revenue adjustments have been considered for interest earnings, the federal STARS money that we receive, as well as the local 313 supplemental payment estimate. And so we started with an adopted deficit of $6.6 million, so with less available revenue and a $1.1 million increase in expenditures, the projected deficit right now that would be proposed is $10.4 million. And so if budgeted contingency funds aren't used, then the actual deficit for next year would be $7.4 million. Again, this is before any funds are allocated for a general pay increase. Ms. Kirshner will present costs associated with several models in the next presentation. And so this deficit would exceed the projected excess fund balance above what the TEA says should be our optimum fund balance. But we do have some funds that are reserved or restricted that could be released and moved back to offset this proposed deficit.
This number does include or does not include raises?
Does not. It includes the funding to sustain the raises that the board approved in October for the current year. But it does not include any additional compensation. Once we have some feedback, then we'll add those dollars into next month's budget update. And so as part of the budget development process, we did send a survey to our campus principals, and when asked what is the most important compensation consideration given with the limited budgeted resources, 40% of principals felt like the district should make necessary reductions to provide a 3% general pay increase to all staff while 20% felt like the district should prioritize maintaining existing positions and support by freezing pay. Again, Ms. Kirshner will present the costs associated with these models for consideration. And then the survey had principals rank the supports related to their campus needs. While principals have indicated that all of these supports are effective, they were asked to rank their highest priority as 1 and their lowest, for elementary, they have 14 supports, so the lowest would be 14. And so when I took the average, the elementary principals ranked support positions in priority order as follows. And again, the lower the number, the higher the priority. So in rank order, they were assistant principal, counselor, behavior tech, academic interventionist, stream teacher, the custodian, campus safety specialist, bilingual and ESL paraprofessionals, general purpose paraprofessionals, campus librarians, technology PC technicians, the library paraprofessionals, communities and schools case managers, and then our LPAC clerks. And then similar secondary principals, they ranked a total of 17 campus-based support positions, again with 1 being their highest priority. Using the average, they ranked in priority order the following: assistant principal, academic counselor, interventionist, testing coordinator, campus content specialist, custodian, campus safety specialist, ESL teachers, licensed professional counselors, ESL paras, elective teachers, campus librarians, technology PC technicians, communities and schools case managers, credit recovery teachers, LPAC clerks, and truancy officers. So at this time, I'll be happy to answer any questions from the board on the progress that we have made, and I'll be back next month with additional updates.
Any questions, comments from the board, Ms. Kelly, on these?
It's always wonderful for all that work you're doing for $43,000 net. Oh, brutal.
So since he only
Not
said
easy.
4 times, this budget does not include the pay raises.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Duly noted.
Yeah. Wow.
I think I've set Ms. Kirshner real well.
Yeah. They're blowing up the park.
So the principals, is this the pie chart?
Mhm.
This is all the principals.
It's the ones that responded to the survey, yes.
What? Should have been all principals, right?
Well,
I would hope.
Okay, moving on. Double it was 20 to 40% was the reduction to make the pay 3%. I mean, 40% wanted that versus the next highest was 20%, which I thought, okay. Well, it's 220% to 210%.
Go back to the pie.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can do it. Yeah, and in the past, we've asked the question to prioritize, raises or benefits or maintaining existing positions. And we have seen 50% say, prioritize compensation increases, and 50% say, I'd rather keep my staff and, freeze pay. And so this year, we kind of asked it a little differently because these are the options that we typically present to the board.
Yeah, that's my question. Those are options.
Right, these are the options.
Okay, that just didn't throw it out there,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so the only one that Ms. Kirshner won't present is the 4% general pay increase, just considering the budget constraints that we do have, so,
I think that's a good option.
But you will see the models and then, the cost associated with the 3%, the 2%, 3% for teachers, and then a 2% for everyone else. And then a model that freezes pay, but provides the step increase for teachers only. And so she'll present that momentarily. And so principals were, although it wasn't all the principals, I think even if the others would have submitted, it would have stayed pretty similar to this.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of interesting on both levels, the campus safety specialist was kind of in the middle. We don't have a choice.
Yeah, they value them.
Yeah, but it was still in the middle, I thought, okay. I'll quit for a while.
Any other comments? report from the audience. This is all about y'all.
I guess,
They would like a 4%, but we won't.
Joe?
I don't, I guess I took for granted that all the principals would respond to this. And so I'm a little bit taken back by that one.
Busy.
All right, this is just a report, so there's no action.
Yep, no action. I'll be back next month.
Better numbers, or? We can only hope, right?
Maybe the Austin will finally.
Maybe, also,
Oh, yeah.
cure all your worries.
Next report is the employee compensation report for 23-24. Ms. Kirschner.
Good evening again. It's my pleasure to provide a report to you this evening regarding the 24-25 compensation plan considerations. As part of the pay maintenance study task, we select peer districts to evaluate the ISD employee compensation and pay grade data. There's not been any changes to this peer group that we've had for the past several years. That's shown on the screen today. This pie chart shown above is an overview of the experience for Brazosport ISD teachers. The average years of experience for BISD teachers currently is 12 years of experience.
That's picked up a little bit.
Kicked up a little bit, yes, over the years. And I put some printouts at your station so you could see maybe the charts that I show in maybe a bit easier format. So the chart shown above is Brazosport ISD teacher salaries compared to market, starting with step 0 and in 5-year increments. As a result of our compensation actions in October, we are currently maintaining a competitive market comparison with identified peer districts. The blue line is the 23-24 teacher pay per current teacher salary schedule, and the orange line is the market median comparison for the teacher salary schedule within that peer district.
There's my graph.
Yes, I have several of them for you,
I know.
Mr. Atkins.
Mention me by name.
Yes. And then, the following table is actually the same data, just reflective in numbers here. So the table provides another look at that data. And as shown, the Brazosport ISD teacher pay schedule remains within 1% of market median data for our peer group. The last column is the average salary for our peer, for the market group. So please note that that column is based on teacher experience as well, right? So if one district has teachers with greater years of experience, you'll likely see higher salaries on average. And so it's relative to that versus just the step that you see in the previous column. If you recall, in previous years, we've always had a dip at years around 10, and so we've actually been able to correct that with our actions previously. So you can see we have this nice straight line there in blue, but we've also now been able to maintain closer to 99% at step 10, when previously we're at almost at 96% of market. This is a new chart, but this is comparison, comparing BISD data, which is shown in blue, to actual the entire Region 4 data. So not based on size, just the region as a whole, and that's shown in green. The state data, the lower line, is actually shown in red. Okay, so
We couldn't find another reason to compare.
Region 4 is the most competitive pay region in the state. So you can see that when you look at the whole state data, right? So once again, holding true to remaining competitive in the market. The average teacher salary for BISD, so the average salary, which is based on years of experience in their step, is 96.5%, in alignment with the region, and actually 114.2% in alignment with the state.
I like that. That's
Yes.
an interesting statement.
Not included in the base pay in the previous data shared, BISD teachers are also eligible for stipends that are specifically related to their teaching assignment and content area. BISD continues to set the standard to provide stipends equal to or greater than the market median. This list is not inclusive of all the ISD stipends that all of our teachers are eligible for. However, this is the comparison data provided with most common teaching-related stipends for teachers. So you can see that we are at or exceeding what our market is doing. Really, the only one I noticed increase this year is that bilingual stipend. So previous years, it was the median stipend was at $3,500. So districts have taken some additional action to increase the bilingual stipend, which is, a supply and demand piece in terms of critical certification areas.
But not to interrupt, the 6 of 12, is that an indication potentially that they don't have stipends for that?
Correct.
Wow, okay.
Correct.
I mean, that's what I figured, rather than, because the others there's 10, and so if they have them, they're gonna report them. So, that's interesting, 3 areas there.
And that's not reflected in the line graph either, I always have to
Right,
point out. So
exactly.
those positions there would be well above the line graph. Yeah.
Exactly.
6 of the 10 don't have any stipend for secondary math?
Have.
So, they what?
6 of the 10 have.
Have.
6 of the 12.
Either
Yeah,
one.
6 of the 12, I can see 6 of 10, but yeah.
Sorry, 6 of 12.
12, yeah.
But that also means
6
of the 12 don't.
Yeah.
But 10 of 12
Half
have.
full.
Yeah.
Which is my,
Half full, half empty kind of
this
thing.
is my, so are they able to get math and science teachers?
They're using it.
Call 3 of those districts.
Well, and then next year you'll be able to see, we have TIA as well, which we don't have any districts around us that are currently active in TIA.
We'll have a whole new line.
We could actually grab TIA teachers next year,
Yeah.
Back to what you just said, are we one of few that are TIA districts in our area?
Yeah.
What about our market?
The only one.
Oh, yes. Yes, I'd have to look at it specifically related to them. Jennifer, you might know some closer to us.
Galveston ISD is currently the closest one paying out, and Dickinson.
And neither of those are, is Dickinson right here?
Yeah, Dickinson.
Yeah, so Dickinson's probably the only one. The others are preparing their plan, most are preparing their plan with maybe 1 or 2 actually in their data capture year. Is that fair?
Yes.
Setting the standard.
Setting the standard. So.
Paying the price.
So Rebecca set up these next few slides for me, but the GPI considerations for 24-25 are as follows. So presenting a 3%, a 2.5%, a 2% model, and then also a hybrid model, which you saw on the survey that was submitted to our principals, but ultimately where teachers receive a 3% and then all their employees would receive a 2% pay increase. So this chart reflects the 3% GPI, and the starting teacher's salary would be $62,000, which is $1,500 higher than our current starting salary. The increase amount for each teacher would be $2,000 for the model at 3%. The data on the chart, the line is blue line, and once again is current Brazosport ISD pay structure, with the orange being the market data again, and then you'll see the dotted, the dashed green line on the chart. That is the proposed increase compared to where we are today.
So we can start to count down until the line gets above the dotted line. I was clicking.
Okay, another snapshot of that model, but this is just the numbers behind it. The total budget impact of Model 1, which includes the 3% general pay increase for all employees, is approximately $3 million. Model 2 reflects a 2.5% general pay increase, and the starting teacher salary would be $61,700, which is $1,200 higher than our current starting salary. The increased amount for each teacher would be $1,675 for this model. Once again, the green line reflects the proposed or the model of 2.5% for general pay increase. The numbers behind that is approximately $2.5 million to apply the 2.5% general pay increase. Model 3 is the 2% pay increase, general pay increase. Starting teacher salary would be $61,400, which is $900 higher than our current pay schedule. And the amount for teachers, in terms of that percentage, would be $1,340 for this model. And so you'll see that while the green line is still above, and this is all relative to current pay structure, so if you get next year's data, the increases of our district and our peer group would also increase closer to where that green line is. Right? Actually, I think I have model 3 twice. Once again, here, this is the data behind that chart. This includes the 2% and is approximately $2 million for implementation. I actually have 2 more models for you. No more charts, but model 4, this is the actual combined 3% teachers. So we already have the 3% line chart on one of the other previous slides. It would actually take the data, basically a hybrid model, pulling the teacher at 3% and all other employees at the 2%, which is about $2.5 million in terms of implementation for this hybrid model. And Model 5, which, as Ms. Kelly mentioned earlier, is a 0% GPI, and just actually imposing the step increase for teachers to roll from one step to the next. So it would just be the difference in terms of the current salary structure, moving them down to the next step, and then adding a new step 0. But this actually freezes the current pay for all employees with the exception of the steps rolling for our teachers, and has a cost model of about $315,000 if this was the model that was presented and implemented. This is for the information presented this evening is for report only. Administration will have a recommendation at a subsequent board meeting to align with the 24-25 budget. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have, or Ms. Kelly as well.
I got a quick comment. You know, it's, I think this is year 10 or 11 for me, but, you know, great that we're able to even talk about this, because of our fund balance. I believe when Mason and Jerry and I got on the board, it was probably around 6 or 8 million, so we would have been zero this year with that. And so, you know, the fact that we have been able to, over the last 10 plus years, put away a significant amount of money to even allow some of this deficit spending to talk about these is pretty important. So it's not have to go unnoticed for all the work that the finance team has done to keep us in line all these years and to build up that fund balance to a point where we can have these discussions, which is pretty important part of what we're doing here. So thanks to look back in our team over the years too, at getting that number, and thanks to industry as well for building a lot.
I'd asked Danny about surrounding districts if we'd heard anything, and I think you said, well, Pearland is 2%, that's even a surprise. So, but 3% Hamilton, 3% out, so, you know, I don't know what the others are.
They're not certain.
Yeah, but I think, and as I read, it looks like 3%, 2% are kind of, you know, the going rate here.
Yes, sir.
You know, convocation, the 2 words where you matter. And the you is those folks that are in the classroom, those folks that are in the cafeteria, those folks are everywhere else making this district run. We need to keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Why did you choose to leave in April?
I'm still providing this presentation.
Go on a high note.
Thank you, Ms. Kirsch.
Thank you.
I report C 2023-2024 District Improvement Plan, 3rd quarter review. Mr. Redden, way to follow
I was thinking that as I was
bundle
sitting
in
there.
And on a good note.
I'll try to bring something joyful. There we go.
Good.
Good evening. In alignment with board policy BQ local and each district goals, it's my pleasure to deliver the report on the third quarter progress made on the district improvement plan. You have a copy of the third quarter formative review in your board book. There it goes. During each formative review, strategies that support the accomplishment of performance objectives are evaluated as discontinued, no progress, some progress, considerable progress, and accomplished. This graphic illustrates the progress made toward accomplishing intended outcomes during the third quarter. Specifically, 4.8% were discontinued, 0% no progress, 4.8% some progress, 39.3% considerable progress, and 51.2% accomplished. We begin with Board Goal 1. This year marked the fourth year that BISD recognized outstanding scholars. The students who were invited to the annual BISD Scholars Banquet had successfully earned 18 or more college credit hours before the start of the school year, or were identified as an AP Scholar with honor, with distinction, or a National AP Scholar by the College Board. Additionally, students who received a letter of commendation or were identified as a semifinalist or finalist for the National Merit Scholarship Program were also invited. Also during the third quarter, campuses received the results of their most recent CBAs and completed mock STAR assessments. Campuses have begun tutorials to prepare students for the spring STAR assessments. The picture you see on this slide in the middle is from the Freeport Intermediate School Saturday tutorials, where they combine learning with some fun activities. To help intermediate school students with making decisions about high school CTE classes, our high schools are providing families with opportunities to attend targeted sessions about CTE and academic opportunities for their students. Parents were invited to attend our newcomer session to learn more about upcoming student registration, and Brazosport College and the Dow Chemical Company also supported this effort when they hosted another Successful Girls in STEM Day, which is recognized statewide on March 1st each year. On Thursday, March 28th, over 100 at-risk students, the majority of whom were homeless, were invited to attend the Ascend Leadership Summit at the Lake Jackson Civic Center. This full-day event was designed to equip students with the skills, knowledge, and motivation necessary to overcome obstacles and to achieve their goals. The event featured 2 speakers, a resource fair, lunch, snow cones, door prizes, and a t-shirt. It was a resounding success, providing students with the tools and inspiration they need to achieve their goals and overcome obstacles. As part of implementing a substance abuse prevention program, the Bay Area Council on Drug and Alcohol, or BACODA, is currently providing prevention lessons through team leadership classes at the high schools. In addition to the ongoing BACODA lessons, nurses, principals, assistant principals, athletic trainers, and counselors are all being trained in the administration of Narcan in case a situation involving fentanyl overdose occurs on campus or at a district event. The results of the middle of the year survey filtered for customer service were reviewed during the third quarter. The overall district customer satisfaction score was a +21, which is really outstanding. That score is derived by subtracting the percentage of dissatisfied scores, which includes responses that were rated in the 0 through 6 range, from the outstanding and clearly outstanding scores of 9 or 10. The district will compare the results of the end-of-year survey with the middle-of-year survey to look for improvement in customer service. Principals will receive the results of that comparison to use in their campus comprehensive needs assessments, and the results will also be used as part of the district's CNA. Next year, training will be isolated to campuses identified as needing additional support and to campuses with new frontline staff. As the slide behind Mr. Atkins reads, great things happen in Texas public schools. On the screen, sir. The BISD Ambassador Academy is an important part of getting the message out that the students in the Brazosport area receive the best education in our schools. We have an incredible array of opportunities that prepare students to graduate future ready. This year, we evaluated opportunities to maximize the utilization of Ambassador Academy graduates for enhanced district promotion efforts. This year was a planning year. We discontinued the implementation strategies until next year, when we will launch a survey to all BISD ambassadors at the beginning of the year that will inform us on how to best use and then support ambassadors as they promote the district. So earlier, that 4.8% that you saw that discontinued, those were the strategies. So we treated this year as a planning year. Next year, we're ready to jump in with both feet. BISD technology continues to implement activities to improve throughput across the district's networks. During the third quarter, conduit installation was completed in various cities extending to the campuses. The Texas Department of Transportation granted multiple permits enabling Lightstream to proceed with laying conduit along highways to connect the network. Technology recently held a kickoff call with DataBox to discuss configuration details and to place orders for fiber patch cords and modules required for the project. In the coming days, technology will furnish DataBox with a detailed timeline, allowing them to schedule their on-site presence in the forthcoming months for network configuration and the activation of each prepared campus. We're getting really close to a really fast internet service. Once again this year, the BISD Educational Foundation awarded grants for great ideas. This year, the foundation awarded 10 grants totaling $96,676. Grants were awarded on March 7th, when BISD board members, BISD Education Foundation board members, Mr. Massey, the high school cheerleaders and drumlines, and members of the cabinet traveled to campuses as part of the annual Grants for Great Ideas caravan. On March 6th, the Human Resources Department hosted a baby shower to celebrate expecting and adopting staff members, including both mothers and fathers. Expectant parents received gift cards, baby clothes, daddy diaper bags, and other essential items. The event was more than a gift giveaway. Attendees also learned how to remain physically and emotionally well during pregnancy and after birth. Benefit providers were on hand to guide employees on adding additional insurance, and the district CTE Culinary Arts students provided finger foods and cake to guests. Each year, the district and each campus recognizes outstanding employees who exemplify our belief that we value and support the contributions of our staff. The day-to-day actions of these employees bolsters the mission of BISD to graduate each student to be future ready. These employees support everything from feeding students, getting them to school and back each day, providing the technology needed to support their learning, and maintaining learning environments that are safe and conducive to learning, to ensuring that campuses have the materials they need in a timely manner. They support teachers in the classroom, provide outstanding leadership to campuses, address the social, emotional, and educational needs of students, provide libraries that encourage reading, research, and enrichment, and they provide high-quality instruction every day in the classroom. Each campus has already selected their Teacher of the Year, and the district elementary and secondary Teachers of the Year will be announced and recognized at the annual awards and recognition banquet that's held in May. We are grateful for and value the contributions of these employees and all BISD employees, without whom it would be impossible for our district to operate and for our students to receive outstanding learning experiences. It was a busy third quarter in BISD. I look forward to returning in June with the summative report for the year. Since this is a report, no board action is required. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any clarifying questions you may have.
Questions from the board? Audience? Thank you, Mr. Redden. Appreciate you. Next item that we have on our agenda are our students' outcomes update. Practice state and Texas assessment of academics ratings, also known as the Wonderful Star. Mr. Cole.
Good evening again. In accordance with Board Policy EH Local and District Goal Brazosport ISD, will provide a rigorous and relevant learning experience to ensure that every student will be future ready. It is my pleasure this evening to present a report on our spring practice STAR. As we begin to look at our results, I want to start by explaining the purpose of the practice STAR. It provides a snapshot of learning across the entire scope of the curriculum within a particular subject. It allows for our campus data that is needed to adjust instruction prior to the STAR test for both individuals and groups of students. It allows campuses to rehearse the complexities of administering the STAR exam, as well as figuring out small groups, accommodations, and the campus's processes and procedures. This year, we continued with STAR 2.0, which included new item types for over a quarter of the assessment. There was extended writing on all of our reading language arts assessments, and the STAR continued to be earlier this year than in past years. We will receive the results on student performance levels this summer versus in August, and in most cases, we will have preliminary results even earlier. The passing standards for approaches, meets, and masters have been updated, and there is no longer a zone of uncertainty. So we'll pause briefly for a refresher on the STAR performance levels and what they mean. Ultimately, the state uses them to predict a student's success in the future as follows. For at the did not meet level, a student is unlikely to succeed in the next grade or course without significant ongoing academic intervention. At the approaches level, a student is likely to succeed in the next grade or course with targeted academic intervention. At the meets level, a student has a high likelihood of success in the next grade or course, but may still need some short-term targeted academic intervention. And at the master's level, a student is expected to succeed in the next grade or course with little or no academic intervention. We will start this evening with reading language arts. Let me take a brief minute to describe how the table is set up. There are 3 different performance levels for the STAR test as just described. The passing threshold is referred to as the approaches. It's in purple. Then the state of Texas has established 2 additional performance levels. These are the meets level in blue and the master's level in orange. Outlined in red on this slide, you will see that I have provided the 2022 practice STAR results. The 2023 practice STAR results are in the next column. Please keep in mind that for this practice STAR, we used the old state cut scores for the test with a new format, which resulted in generally lower percentages. So we gave a really hard test because we didn't know exactly what the test was going to look like. It was our best prediction of the actual 2023 version, but our version did tend to raise the bar higher than the actual 2023 STAR. And then in the next column, we have the current year's results. The final column shows the difference between this year and last year. So as we look at the key takeaways from reading language arts, we can see that in general, we saw increases across the district in most areas. And this can be attributed to 2 things. One is the adjustment for new item types and writing tasks along with the score reporting, but we've also really increased our focus in writing across all grade levels. If we were to look back, we'd see that in 4th grade, 7th grade, and high school, the courses showed the smallest differences between tests, and those are the grades that writing was previously assessed on the state exam, and now it's assessed in all the grade levels. We'll continue to support our teachers in both reading and writing instruction. We'll need to continue to focus shifting from whole group instruction to small group instruction or one-on-one conferencing for students during their independent practice in reading and writing to ensure that all students continue to grow in specific skills. Since our board goals, our student outcome goals, are centered around the performance at the 3rd grade level for students in math and reading, I want to take a deeper campus level dive into this 3rd grade data. Campus level data for all the STAR tested subjects was available and shared in the board report last Friday. You can see that as a district, our overall performance at the meets level is substantially higher at 47% on the bottom right than it was in 2023 for practice at 9%, or in 2022 at 34%. We're doing better this year than we have in past. We see high levels of performance at Griffith and Polk this year and the lowest levels of performance at Austin and TWA. As we move to math, we're continuing our focus on 3rd grade, and that's the area for our student outcome goals. In math, we see performance at the meets level generally at the same level in 2024 at 41% as in 2023 at 40%. But this is a large increase over the 2022 practice at 25%, the meets level. Roberts and Lanier showed the highest levels of performance, while Ogg and Austin showed the lowest. Please keep in mind, once again, that the meets level is a step above the passing threshold for STAR, and we generally see performance substantially increased by the actual STAR exam. Now we'll move to a broader look at the math data. Since we've already transitioned into math, we'll take a look at it across multiple grade levels. We currently see lower performance at the elementary approaches level, while we do see an increase in the meets performance compared to last year. Although 7th grade math has remained an area of concern and has been on our radar for a while, scores are definitely showing growth at this grade level. Remember once again that the 2022 practice test was our best guess as to what STAR would look like. So I always encourage look at 2022 and 2024. It may be a little bit better comparison. Our key takeaways from math: elementary campuses are maintaining progress while increasing scores after completion of the curriculum calendar now. Focus needs to continue to happen to shift from analyzing how TEKS are being given to students, and that they need to be focusing in on small group instruction to meet the individual needs of students. Middle and intermediate students continue to show improvement and signs of growth at the 7th grade level. Our secondary schools have shown an increase from the prior school year, which indicates that growth and learning is happening. We continue to focus instruction in 5th grade through Algebra 1 to small groups and differentiating instruction to address our low-performing standards. Do need to continue to analyze how we can model for students all the different ways in which a standard can be assessed. Now we'll move to science and social studies. As we look at the table for science, that's at the top here, we see increases compared to 2023, but relatively stable performance when we compare it to 2022. Performance level in social studies, which is on the bottom chart, are a little bit of a mixed bag. We see signs of improvement compared to 2022 and 2023 in 8th grade, but at the high school level, we see more signs of students moving into the approaches grade level, but out of the meets and masters. As we move forward, some key takeaways for science and social studies is that we need to continue to model lessons that are aligned to our state standards while providing engaging hands-on activities for students to anchor learning. Not all students come with these same experiences, so if we provide an anchoring experience, that helps students be more engaged and develop deeper learning. Students must be engaged in the use of stimuli and must become more used to primary sources and being able to analyze those primary sources. Now let me take a pause and discuss our next steps as we look to the future. After we administer the practice STAR and get STAR results each year, we take a look at the scope and sequences for each of our courses. We work with teacher teams and determine if we need to make any tweaks or changes to how much time we spend on something or the order in which we cover something. It's also very apparent that we need to continue our focus on writing across all grade levels and content areas. This means placing additional emphasis on professional learning as it relates to writing, as well as ensuring that we continue to monitor writing through our district writing measures. We must continue with our plan to ensure that our elementary teachers that have been trained in the science of teaching reading are implementing that training. We will continue to closely monitor how students in classrooms are performing and adjust to provide targeted support while also celebrating the successes that we see with so many of our students in many of our classrooms across the district. And of course, we will definitely reassess where we are after we receive official STAR results this summer. We look forward to being able to see how our students are performing compared to students across the state. This information is report only, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions for Mr. Cole? Do we have to, in years like this where they've moved it up another week or two, are we having to adjust our calendar, I guess, to feed in a bunch of peaks there towards?
Yes, we do adjust our calendars based on, we need to be finished with the curriculum prior to the state test. We do prioritize, we have readiness peaks, which are guaranteed to be assessed, and supporting standards, which are not guaranteed to be assessed, so we do prioritize the coverage of those based on when the start test is.
Yeah. The teachers take a pounding because testing gets earlier and earlier, and you still got 3 or 4 weeks of school left to deal with it. They know they don't have anything left to do. That's a tough gig.
Yes, sir.
So is the final STAR test have to start, they're spread out, right?
Yes, sir, they're spread out through the month of April. In fact, many campuses gave in their reading language arts last week. They're continuing, some are continuing this week, and I believe science and social studies.
Is that a campus decision, or is that a district?
The state gives us a 2-week window, so we allow our campuses to take full advantage of that window, within reason.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the 2022 results, because they are definitely, once you focus in on that, it's kind of like, they were terrible. And, you know, and so it didn't make a lot of sense when you could see 2022, 23, 24, I mean, there was such a gap.
Yes, sir.
So if you would go back to the first couple of slides, I guess, not the explanation, but well, they're all the same, so it doesn't make a difference. But it's pretty noticeable that if you look at the I know you guys haven't convinced me this is not the best way, but 24 for, say, 6th grade, and go backwards for the 3-year cohort. It works out pretty well when you look at pretty much all these, even up to the masters, and the math works out. Where 2022 was and 2024 pretty similar.
Yes, sir.
Which is I don't know that you consider that progress, but it's it's steady. I mean, they're still learning what they're supposed to.
Right.
Same percentage, so. We'd like to see the numbers go up, of course, but it does, I think it's a good indication of that, so. One last thing, for, 3rd and 4th, reading and math for OG versus the GT Academy versus the remainder, we could pull those.
Yes, pull those. And 3rd grade for OG here has no,
Right.
for reading language arts has no GT. But yes, we'll be sure to pull those.
Can I ask Dr. Johnson, can I ask you a question?
Sure, sir.
Noticing having in forever, the STAR test was mandated to be this week, that week. Do the kids have any different mindset when they have it spread out over a little bit of time and they're not just getting hammered by tests 1 week at a time?
Yes, sir. We do see an adjustment that's made by the student population and their approach to coming to school and even their behaviors while they're there. It does allow for them to have time to process different sets of material and refine their skills as they approach the next test.
Good deal.
Yeah, there's probably some learning, right, between each one.
That
Some learning on how it was presented, how it flowed, how the test went, rather than doing back to back to back to back.
Yes, sir. And if I may add.
Reset a little bit.
Yes, sir. Mr. Redden showed a picture of some Saturday tutorials that we have. And so, various Saturdays, we're able to actually offer the previous test that's being tested. That Saturday, we'll focus on that test with the students prior to them being assessed on that. So, for example, this week we're taking science and social studies. And so, this past Saturday on April 13th, there was a great focus on science and social studies instruction. Next week, we'll be taking mathematics. This coming Saturday, we'll be focused solely on mathematics.
Wow. Have you had a pretty good student turnout for these sessions on Saturday?
Yes, sir. We are very targeted in our approach to doing it, and so because we only have about 3 hours that we're with the students, we focus according to those who are most needy, with extra acceleration in that way, and so that we can address those skills. He mentioned readiness type of teach that will be assessed more than likely, and so we focus on those things with those students.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Audience?
taking all your end of course exams? You're done, huh?
Maddie,
You're already done with all yours, aren't you?
Maddie, you're.
Yeah, I haven't taken a STAR test
Yeah,
since
you're
like,
good.
what, like sophomore year?
Yeah.
I'm checked out.
We can add a couple if you want.
Oh, heck yes.
That's why it's so relaxed tonight.
Yeah, I'm chilling, I'm done with all my essays. I'm good. Well, I
Senioritis.
actually have a certification exam tomorrow for my pharmacy technician course.
There you go, good, good luck.
After that, I'm like, done.
You do realize when you're president of the United States that you'll still have to write essays.
Yeah, I don't mind writing essays. Secretary to do that for me.
Speechwriters.
It's the standardized testing that I don't like. I don't mind the essays and the college assignments, but when I have to sit in a room and test, I really find it hard.
Our next, item are board committee reports. Do we have any, reports from our board members?
Other than the advocacy and, I don't remember what the other one was, but advocacy last week at the Gulf Coast was good.
Wednesday night. This past Wednesday night.
Tomorrow night, the 1964 state champion baseball team from Brazosport High School will be honored prior to the game. Those guys that were sophomores won 2 out of 3 years, 64 and 66. So, that's a big thing. Coach Neighbors is cooking, so I'm sure it's not gonna be much.
Have a hamburger.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Neighbors, I didn't see you.
Any other comments, board reports, before we move on? All right, next, item, our next regularly scheduled board meeting will be May 20th, right here. Executive session, may be called for the purposes permitted by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Sections 551.071 through 551.146, Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, Section 551.071 on any agenda item, Section 551.72 for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, Section 551.074 personnel matters, appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, dismissal of complaint, and Section 551.02 for the purpose of considering discipline of a public school child or complaint or charge against personnel. We shall return.
We have reconvened and left it.
We will now reconvene from executive session. The time is 9:21. Unless there are any objections, then we will stand adjourned.
No objection?
You object?
No, do you?
I don't.